One of the main principles of universalexports.co is that variety is the spice of life, which is why the usual format of this podcast is as diverse as it is interesting in unconnected items and features. Keeping in line with that principle, the variety today is one topic only: a walking tour around Sydney's North Shore. Recently, Kathy and I led a group of friends on some walking tours of Sydney. This is the first of the 4 days of tours. The terrain in Sydney is nothing short of mountainous, interspersed with a series of steps and stairs, all of which only ever seem to ascend, hardly ever descending. Well, that's the opinion of this Melburnian, so the good few weeks training before this trip was well worth the pain. We based ourselves in North Sydney Harbourview Hotel, a delightful, friendly and cosy place, named most appropriately as the views from every room in this complex are just simply outstanding. Nearly every morning, if you're up early enough, you will see an ocean cruise ship either docking at the overseas passenger terminal at the Rocks, or if small enough, passing under the bridge to park at the White Bay Cruise Terminal. This morning's trip started with a steep descent down the stairs, not onto Blues Road, but the back way down to Walker Street towards Lavender Bay. Of course, the steep descent down means there will be a steep incline up on the return at the end of the day. There is the option of returning via the train to North Sydney Station, which is in fact underneath the Harbourview Hotel, but that's the Wimp's way according to our group of travellers, or some of them. Well, one really. And then they really didn't believe me anyway. The stairs down to Lavender Bay pass by Wendy's Secret Garden, a really must-do on the list. But we'll cover it on the return, as it will give us a halfway break from the 108 steps back up to Walker Street. Passing under the stone rail bridge onto Lavender Bay itself, we turn left onto Harbour Promenade and Comic Walk towards Luna Park. The Promenade Walk is an outdoor gallery of miniature-scale sculptures. These delightful little works salute the golden age of Australian comics and children's literature figures from the early 20th century. Local resident and former Luna Park artist Peter Kingston made the series to commemorate his childhood heroes. Kingston cast the works in bronze, working with Sydney's Crawford's Casting Foundry. While the sculptures reflect the just-for-fun atmosphere of nearby Luna Park, one work stands alone as a memorial, dedicated to the 7 who died in the Ghost Train fire of 1979, a tragic event that closed the park for 16 years. The important commemorative sculpture is the first bronze work on the promenade and sits quietly in the garden at the edge of Art Barton Park. Designed by cartoonist Michael Leunig and sculpted by Peter Kingston, the memorial shows Leunig's beloved Mr. Curly, with his familiar teapot hat pouring tea into a cup and saucer balanced on a child's head. The name of the victims, 6 children, 1 adult, are inscribed on the sandstone plinth. Passing by the gaping face of Luna Park entrance, we are now on Olympic Drive with the North Sydney Olympic Pool on our left and Milsons Point Ferry Terminal on the right. As we pass under the looming underbelly of the Sydney Harbour Bridge, we have a stunning vista of the Opera House, Circular Quay, and the rather large and imposing rear end of the Ovation of the Seas ocean cruiser parked at the overseas passenger terminal. Just in front, on the waterline, is the memorial to HMAS Sydney. The bow section of the ship is set into the seawall on Olympic Drive at Milsons Point. The plaques are immediately behind this on Olympic Drive. This memorial commemorates the sinking on the 9th of November 1914 of the German raider Emden. Continuing on and up a few stairs, we pass Captain Henry Waterhouse Reserve, up a few more stairs to the Dr. Mary Booth Lookout. This takes us on to Warronda Street, where we make our way to another stone stairway, bringing us up onto Kirribilli Avenue. Naturally, we take in Admiralty House, the official residence of the Governor-General of Australia, and Kirribilli House, the secondary official residence of the Australian Prime Minister. A tad further down and we are at the Lady Gowrie Lookout, where the braver of the group descend the steep stairs to view the back gate of Kirribilli House. Oh, and the harbour view, of course. Back up the stairs and around to the wharf to catch the ferry to Hay Street, Neutral Bay. We thought maybe a coffee stop at Thelma and Louisa's cafe, but it was overflowing with patrons. So up we go, up further to find ourselves at May Gibbs' residence, Nutcote. Up even further now to Hollerforth Avenue to view the previous residence of Clinton and Kelly, then down and around and up again to Shell Cove Road, turning onto Honda Road, where we finally pick up the walking trail to Cremorne Point. Alongside the water's edge but high up, and we get the sights of the yachts and boats that are parked at the private jetties that are attached to the back of most of the properties along the shoreline. A feature all too easily missed without an experienced guide, hidden down on the waterline in amongst the denser vegetation, is the McCallum Saltwater Pool. McCallum Pool, on the western side of Cremorne Point, is a unique 33-metre harbourside pool with heritage character and superb views. The waterside timber deck offers an unparalleled sunbathing spot. It was originally just a rock pool created by local residents to form a safe harbour swimming hole. The architecture style of the current pool dates from the 1920s and was restored in keeping with that by council in 1985. Continuing on, we are heading towards Cremorne Point, and fortunately just off from the ferry jetty is a well-placed comfort station, much to the relief of some of our group as well as many others. Cremorne Point was named after the mid-19th century Cremorne Gardens, a large amusement park that organised activities such as live music, dancing, archery, a shooting gallery, gymnastics and fireworks. Robertson Point, where you can see the lighthouse from close by, is the most southern tip of Cremorne Point. It was named after James Robertson, the first European settler to own land here in the early 19th century. James was the father of John Robertson, the 5th Premier of New South Wales. None of our intrepid travellers felt intrepid enough to descend the iron ladder to the lighthouse itself, probably a good decision. Backtracking a short distance, we take the Cremorne Point foreshore walk towards Mosman Rowers Club, our main destination. Here the track is quite open with outstanding architectural samples on our left and glimpses through the trees of beautiful Mosman Bay to the right. By the time we pass Sydney Amateur Sailing Club, the trees and foliage have closed in again. But just beyond the path along the foreshore walk and linked together by a series of steps and paths, sit over a hectare of magical gardens that slope down to a simple rock pool in Sydney Harbour. These gardens began in 1959 when Lex Graham planted an elephant's ear bulb, which he fished out of the ocean on his morning swim. Much to his surprise, the bulb blossomed. Then he and his partner Ruby, who he had only recently met, began to add other plants and cuttings to what would become these magnificent gardens. On these slopes, which were originally covered in logs, lantana, weeds and rubbish, the couple planted whatever they could find that might grow in and hold together the soil. Tree ferns from the crevices in the rocks upon the foreshore, clivias and agapanthus discarded by local gardeners, and cuttings donated from the gardens of their friends. This labour of love that grew over the course of their courtship and their marriage can be seen as a living memorial to the importance of community and volunteerism and, most importantly, their love and the life they shared together. Up a little further, the path takes a plunge into Palm and Firm Dell, then rises again where a couple of water dragons are spotted, adding to the tropical feel at this point. The path narrows again before spitting us out almost in front of the door of the Mosman Rowers, one of Sydney's oldest sports clubs and harbour destinations. The much-loved local institution since 1911 welcomes wet bums, sandy feet and paws, and has become a community hub for water-based activities such as paddling and kayaking, as well as members' events. The revived food offering will place the Rowers firmly on the map as one of the harbour's most picturesque dining destinations. The combination of a stunning location in Mosman Bay, rich character and heritage of the clubhouse, warm and friendly culture and design transformation will make Mosman Rowers a fantastic community hub. Our dining experience could only have been improved by the provision of sun umbrellas, which unfortunately were not available on the day. This may have been a good thing, as we may have been tempted to stay hours and hours had they been there. Time to move on. The ferry terminal is just the other side of the bay from here, and a short walk around the top of the bay, passing the marina and under the stunning terraces of magnificently designed residences. Timed beautifully, we board the ferry for a direct sail to Circular Quay. A quick ferry change at the quay, then under the bridge, and we're offloading at Milson's Point to retrace our steps to face the monumental challenge of those 108 steps up to Walker's Road. However, the halfway break at Wendy's Garden makes it all worthwhile. For more than 20 years, local resident and arts patron Wendy Whiteley has been creating a unique public garden in front of her home here at Lavender Bay. The garden sits across a sloping parcel of land owned by the New South Wales Government, bordered by the formal lawns of Clark Park on the high side and an old railway siding running parallel to the harbour foreshore below. The rambling multi-level garden has evolved in response to Wendy's singular vision, her strong aesthetic sense and the challenging site itself. Stories of her hard work to regenerate this once derelict site soon spread, and dedicated gardeners and volunteers came to assist with the project. Together they have established a tranquil oasis or hidden sanctuary, a public garden that offers balance and some breathing space to the commercial and fast-paced commuter life close by. This is an enriching and enchanting place to stop, reflect and picnic while taking in the panoramic views captured so famously by Brett Whiteley in his Sydney Harbour paintings from the 1970s, and a great place to rest after coming up those stairs. Thank you for sharing your time with me today. I'll be endeavouring to do these on a much more regular basis. I look forward to chatting with you next time.